It began on a quiet night in the Indian Ocean, May 24, 2023. The oil tanker NS BURGAS cut through calm seas, en route from Murmansk, Russia to Kyaukpyu, Myanmar. On board were 23 Russian crew members, working a routine voyage that would soon turn into a haunting mystery. At 8 p.m., the ship's master waited on the bridge for a scheduled meeting with the chief cook, a 52-year-old Russian seafarer, but the cook never arrived. Minutes passed. Then concern turned to unease. The chief officer tried calling his cabin. No answer. The third officer was sent to find him. The corridors were quiet. No sign of the man anywhere. By 8:32 p.m., the master sounded the ship's general alarm. Every crew member was ordered to muster and search the vessel from bow to stern. The sea was calm, visibility good. If the chief cook had gone overboard, there was still a chance to find him, but he was nowhere. Not in his cabin, not in the galley, not on deck. At 9:21 p.m., the NS BURGAS initiated emergency procedures. The massive tanker performed a Williamson-Turner maneuver designed to retrace its course in case someone had fallen overboard. Distress signals were sent out through every available system. MF divided by HF, DSC, VHF, Channel 16, and Inmarsat-C. The crew scanned the black water with searchlights, calling the cook's name into the wind. Hours later, contact came from the Maritime Rescue Coordination Center in Colombo, Sri Lanka. They confirmed the distress signal and ordered a coordinated search and rescue operation, supported by nearby vessels. For 3 days, the Indian Ocean was combed for any trace of the missing man, but none was ever found. By May 27th, after 72 hours of search operations, MRCC Colombo called off the mission. At 7 p.m., the NS BURGAS resumed her voyage to Myanmar, one man short. Who was this man who vanished so suddenly? The chief cook had joined the ship barely a month earlier, on April 22, 2023. He'd served in the merchant fleet for years, a quiet, experienced seafarer. His colleagues described him as calm, even withdrawn, a man who mostly kept to himself. He had passed all his medical and drug tests before joining the vessel. Nothing suggested trouble, but behind that calm exterior, something was wrong. When investigators later boarded the NS BURGAS in Suez, Egypt, they discovered a hidden layer to the story. In his cabin, 15 types of medicine were found. Among them, drugs used to treat Alzheimer's disease and cognitive disorders. Some caused side effects like dizziness, hallucinations, confusion, and even temporary loss of consciousness. Yet the cook had declared no medical issues before boarding. The crew remembered strange incidents. Twice, the chief cook had shown signs of disorientation. Once, he accidentally entered another crew member's cabin, confused about where he was. Another time, he wandered onto the wrong deck, insisting he was somewhere else entirely. Both the chief officer and second officer witnessed these moments, but neither reported them to the captain or the company. To the rest of the crew, he was just a quiet man doing his job. But to investigators, those details painted a troubling picture. The last confirmed sighting of the chief cook was at 7:15 p.m. Just 45 minutes before the alarm, the chief engineer saw him ascending the stairs from Deck A to Deck B, heading toward the accommodations area. After that, nothing. The working theory that the chief cook, possibly under the influence of his medications, became disoriented on his way to the bridge. He may have stepped onto an open deck in the darkness, unaware of his surroundings. A moment's confusion, a misstep, and then silence. The sea gives nothing back easily. A fall overboard from a tanker moving at 13 knots leaves almost no chance of survival. And in the warm but vast waters southeast of Sri Lanka, even a few minutes can mean the difference between life and death. When the Liberia Maritime Authority began its investigation, they found a series of small oversights that, together, told a larger story. The ship's medical examiner had found the cook fit for duty, failing to detect any underlying mental health or medication issues. The crew, though they noticed unusual behavior, never reported it through proper channels, and the cook himself never informed the master or company about his prescriptions or what they were for. The report did not point fingers. It didn't assign blame. Instead, it revealed a human failure not of malice, but of silence. By the time the investigator boarded the NS BURGAS a month later, the traces of the man were limited to photographs of his cabin, a list of medicines, and statements from the crew. 15 pillboxes, 2 incidents of confusion, 1 missing man, no foul play, no signs of struggle, just a void one the ocean quietly swallowed. The official conclusion was stark and simple. The disappearance of the chief cook is most likely attributed to disorientation and falling overboard. Behind that technical phrasing lay the human truth that mental health at sea remains one of the most neglected aspects of maritime life. The NS Burgess case triggered calls for change. The Liberian Authority recommended better medical screening, mental health awareness, and open communication between seafarers and their superiors. They urged companies to adopt wellness programs like mentally healthy ships, promoting emotional resilience among crews working in isolation for months on end. They also emphasized vigilance for masters to inspect cabins for unauthorized medicines, and for officers to report behavioral changes before they become tragedies. Today, the fate of the chief cook of the NS Burgess remains unresolved. His name, not released publicly in the report, is now one among many on the silent list of seafarers who vanish at sea each year. No body was recovered, no message left behind, only a handful of medicines and memories of a man quietly losing his bearings. For those who work at sea, his story is a warning not just about the dangers of the ocean, but about what can go unseen among those who live and work far from shore. At 6 degrees 19 north and 82 degrees 06 east, somewhere in the vast Indian Ocean, a single life disappeared beneath calm waters. No witnesses, no answers, just an empty galley, a silent cabin, and a date marked forever May 24th, 2023. The NS Burgess sailed on, her engine steady, her crew subdued, but in every port that ship docked after, there lingered a question. How does a man vanish from a steel vessel in open water without a single trace?